Nurse Redheart first appears in Season 1, Episode 4 of Applebuck's Season. She also appears in the episodes Baby Cakes, Where the Apple Lies, A Flurry of Emotions, and The Last Problem as part of Fluttershy's group shot. Nurse Redheart, often overlooked as a background pony, holds a subtle secret. If you've been observant, her cutie mark, a simple red cross, has transformed. In A Flurry of Emotions, her cutie mark evolves into a white cross with 5 hearts encircling it. This seemingly minor change upon closer inspection holds a more profound significance that we're about to dive into. It's a minimal change, but the biggest question is why? Well, that's where our story starts to get interesting, introducing the Geneva Conventions. A quick history recap is that the Geneva Conventions, a cornerstone of international humanitarian law, were established in 1864, creating the humanitarian law of armed conflicts and establishing the Red Cross. The Red Cross, a symbol of medical care, is protected under the Geneva Conventions. These international treaties, which set the standards for humanitarian treatment in war, also include provisions of the use of symbols such as the Red Cross. This means that its use in any media, including TV shows, movies, and video games, is subject to copyright law and requires explicit approval from the Geneva Convention. The evolution of Nurse Redheart's cutie mark is not just a random change, but a direct result of the Geneva Conventions and their copyright protection of the Red Cross symbol. In the early 2010s, a copyright law was enacted extending the Geneva Convention's recognition on the Red Cross as a symbol of medical care. This law had far-reaching implications, prohibiting the depiction of a Red Cross in any media without explicit approval from the Geneva Convention. This approval process typically involves submitting a request to the International Committee of the Red Cross, which reviews the proposed use of the symbol and grants or denies permissions based on its adherence to the principles of the Geneva Conventions. Now here's the interesting part. The original cutie mark of Nurse Redheart, the Red Cross, directly violated the Geneva Convention's copyright, so to avoid legal issues, her cutie mark had to be altered. However, since the law wasn't in effect during the show's early days, she still retains the Red Cross in her earlier appearances. This alteration process results from enforcing copyright law in media, where any depiction of the Red Cross symbol without explicit approval from the Geneva Convention is considered a violation. Now, from all my research on this, I couldn't find any information that the Geneva Conventions asked Hasbro outright to remove the cross. However, since more media became aware of the copyright when it took effect, Hasbro most likely wanted to play it safe and change Nurse Redheart's cutie mark completely when she was later seen in A Flurry of Emotions. Of course, if they kept the Red Cross as her cutie mark even with her making very few appearances, it would have caused a lot of headaches. Nurse Redheart is just one example of this though. In 2020, the video game Among Us had a similar problem where it depicted a Red Cross on a medical bay, and later it avoided copyright and was changed to a blue cross instead of a red one. Even though the Red Cross is copyrighted, why are the Geneva Conventions so protective? Well, the cross upholds medical authority, and using it in a negative light can damage the reputation they're trying to represent. The Red Cross symbolizes safety and security, and they don't want it depicted in ways that go against that. It makes sense why they are protective of it, and even after researching this, I've gained a lot more profound respect and appreciation for what it stands for. Returning to Nurse Redheart, it's worth noting that she stands out among the background ponies. Unlike the occasional animation errors that resulted in physical changes like wings or cutie marks, Nurse Redheart is the only pony in the show to undergo a deliberate cutie mark change. And of course, you open up a whole other rabbit hole where this doesn't really make sense. And I could rant about how this doesn't make sense for cutie marks, unless she somehow got a cutie mark removal like a tattoo removal and put a new one on, or maybe she had a twin sister with a slightly similar cutie mark, or whatever, you get my point. Let's pretend it's always been the white cross and make it easier for ourselves, huh? I hope you all enjoyed this video. The story of Nurse Redheart's cutie mark change is just one example of how copyright law can impact creative works. It's a complex issue. I'll be hearing y'all's thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I post MLP content like this all the time, and that's really all I have. Thank you guys for watching. My name has been BlueBolt. I'll catch y'all in the next one.